Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. So let's wait for a couple seconds to allow people to join and we can get started. Okay, I think we can get started just right now. So thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Jim. I'm the Admissions and Registration Representative at Institute of Global Specialists. So for today, one of our instructor, Timothy Hodges, and my colleague, Poco from admission team, they are also joining us today to give you some insight about our programs. So for today's info sessions, we will begin with some general information such as admission requirements, fee structures. And then after these brief information, we will get into programs in detail. And then our guest speaker, Timothy, he will be talking about his program. So stay tuned for that. And then toward the end, there's a Q&A sections. We will be more than happy to answer your question at that time. However, if you do have any question during our presentations, you can type it on the chat box, and my colleague, Yulia Dimitri-Scott from the admission team, she will help answering your questions. So to give you a little bit of general information about who we are in our programs, the Institute of Global Specialists is owned by a nonprofit organization, Canadian Society of Immigration Consultants, which was the previous regulator of immigration consultants in Canada. We are now located in St. John, New Brunswick. Currently, we offer 7 programs, and everything is 100% online. So that will include your study material, lectures, assignment, and exams. So fully online. All the programs are designed using the Harvard Business School case study method of teaching, and all the programs are offered in English only. There's no language requirement to join. As long as you are fluent and comfortable studying in English, you should be fine. And there's no age limit to join either. Just so you know that we do accept international students. International students pay the same rate as our Canadian students. As we provide fully online programs, you can be anywhere around the globe to do your studies. So in regards to the time difference, you get to schedule your own study time. As long as you are meeting the deadlines, you are good to go. But we do suggest you to at least devote it at least 10 to 20 hours per week into your study. So to make sure that you submit your works on time and then be able to succeed with your courses. Some students have questions about placements. Like most college and university, we will offer career placement supports to our students, such as help with writing resumes, identifying job opportunities, networks, improve job interview presentation skills. But it will be ultimately up to you to seek employment after completing your studies. So now I would like to highlight something that's very unique and special about our instructors. They are people who have been working in their industry for over decades and are still actively involved in their fields. We carefully vet each instructor and select highly qualified individual to design and teach all our programs. So you are just not learning about the theory front end, you are actually learning about the real world experience. So you're more than welcome to take advantage of that. All the details and bio about our instructors are available on our website, globalspecialist.org, and we highly encourage you to check them out. The tuition fee for all IGS program is currently $533 per module, but it will increase by 10% for those who apply after April 11th. Our payment plans are flexible. A student can pay on module by module basis. There are 6 to 9 modules depending on the program, and each module is about 4 to 5 weeks long. That means you can expect to pay 1 module per month. Also, if you are interested in only taking specific module instead of the whole program, you can have the choice to take the module individually. For example, in our Canadian Immigration Law Specialist program, you can choose to take only the refugee module if you wish. We have next start date scheduled for May 2nd. We do encourage you to sign up before the fee changes. Another thing to mention about is that we do also offer scholarship and financing. Please contact us for more information about that after our presentations, so we can give you some more detail on that. Now, I will be moving on to talk about programs in details. I will go over 3 programs, and Paul will be covering the other 4 programs. To begin with, the first program I'm going to talk about is the Canada Border Service Specialist Program. This program is designed and taught by former CSA officers and experts who have over 15 years of experience on the field. This program will enable you with essential border services procedures and prepares you to be a capable professional in immigration, customs, import, export, or concerning border services. There are 6 modules in this program, and the total length is 29 weeks long. And once you complete this program, you can seek employment with the public sector, such as CBSA, the Immigration Department, as well as in the private sectors, with those companies dealing with the importing, exporting business, such as Walmart, Costco, mining or oil industries. And the next program I'm going to talk about is the Global Immigration Specialist Program. There are 6 modules in this program, and the entire length is 26 weeks long. This specific program will focus on different global immigration paths through investment, such as purchasing property and business overseas. You're going to learn about over 20 countries that offer these programs, countries like Caribbean countries, European countries, and East Asian countries as well. You will be able to identify the needs and risks for your clients that you can find the most efficient routes of immigration in the corporate context. All our GIS instructors have been practicing and providing immigration advice and globally for over 20 or 30 years. So once you complete this program, you will receive a diploma from us, which will qualify you to write an exam with the regulatory body, Global Society of Immigration Specialists, and you could work as a chartered global immigration specialist to provide service around the globe. And then the next program I'm going to talk about is the Global Education Specialist Program. So upon completion of this program, you could work as an international student agent for an elementary school, secondary schools, university, colleges to receive commissions from them. And on the other hand, you could work as a consultant to help students and their family with the right admission process to get into the school that they wish to go. In this program, there are 8 modules, and it's 38 weeks long. This program focuses on over 20 countries again. You're going to learn about different levels of educational systems in countries like Canada, in the United States, in European countries, in New Zealand, Australia, and some East Asian countries like Singapore, China as well. It also covers the immigration aspects, such as how to apply for study permit or visa for your students. And also you're going to learn about the ethical framework of this industry. Also, it's going to cover the different financial aids available for the international students in different countries. So from this program, definitely you are going to learn how to build a connection with the school and as a designated agent, and how to build a great relationship with your clients. All our IGS instructors are coming from different parts of the world with amazing backgrounds. They have over 20 years of experience on the field. Some are former admission officers and recruiters at post-secondary educations. Some are expert in processing admissions to K-12 educations. Together, we believe they can provide a comprehensive knowledge and on-hand experience that you need as a successful consultant. So once you complete this program, you will be able to write an exam with the regulatory body, Global College of Education Specialists, and work as a chartered global education specialist. Now, Paul will go over the other 4 programs in detail.
Thank you, Jen. My name is Po, and I am the Admissions and Student Affairs Representative at the Institute of Global Specialists. I'll now be going over the remaining 4 programs that we offer, beginning with the Foreign Service and International Development Specialist Program. Like all of our programs, the Foreign Service International Development Specialist Program is completely online. There are 6 modules in the program, and it is 24 weeks long. The program will introduce students to the world of diplomacy in bilateral and multilateral settings. The program will examine real-world examples of diplomacy involving Canada and other countries, such as the relationship between Canada and the US. Students will develop essential diplomatic skills, such as intergovernmental negotiation and networking. And these diplomacy skills are not just specific to Canada. They are transferable skills for anyone who wishes to join a career in diplomacy anywhere in the world. The program will also cover how to manage international development projects and the effects of globalization, which are major priorities for NGOs and Global Affairs Canada. There are many ways to launch a career in global affairs, in a conventional way or a non-conventional way. And many careers exist in international affairs that are not just diplomatic jobs. There are different levels of careers, which can be regional and local, such as working on the ground at an NGO. Our program helps prepare students for these various types of career opportunities. And our guest speaker today, Timothy Hodges, will explore this further later in this presentation. Of course, I'd like to take a moment to highlight the amazing instructors in the program. Our instructors have 15 to 30 years of experience as foreign officers with the government or as development specialists. So they are very knowledgeable and well-connected in the industry. The next program that I'll cover today is the Canadian Immigration Law Specialist Program. The Canadian Immigration Law Specialist Program is geared toward anyone who wishes to have an in-depth understanding of how to navigate the immigration system in Canada. Using the Harvard case study method of teaching, the program covers key aspects of Canadian immigration law and regulations. Please note that this program is not meant for those wishing to become a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. That is a profession regulated by the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. However, there are promising career opportunities after taking our program, such as working for the government or for NGOs or at an existing consulting firm. Our program is taught by immigration consultants who have decades of experience navigating the Canadian immigration system. There are 9 modules in the program, and it is 42 weeks long. This is the longest program that we offer, as it covers the complexities of Canada's immigration system. The program covers topics such as PR and citizenship, economic class, family class, temporary class, appeals, hearing, and detentions, and refugees. The next program that I'll talk about today is the Global Supply Chain Specialist Program. At a basic level, supply chain management involves acquiring goods or services to achieve your business goals. And in today's globalized world, supply chain management has never been more important. The program consists of 7 modules and is 26 weeks long. Our program will examine the supply chain process for the public sector, which includes all levels of government, and the private sector. You'll learn how to navigate the complexities of the request for proposal process, known as RFPs, and how to negotiate contracts. The program will cover the supply chain landscape in various countries such as Canada, the US, and the UK. The instructors in our program have diverse backgrounds in the supply chain sector, including the fields of transportation, mining, healthcare, telecommunications, construction, and more. Our instructors have experience in both the private and the public sectors of supply chain management. This program is perfect for business owners interested in training with the government or professionals who want to make a career in the global supply chain sector. The last program that I'll talk about today is the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Specialist Program. The Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning Specialist Program consists of 7 modules and is 28 weeks long. The program will introduce students to the theoretical and the practical applications of machine learning and data science. Through data analysis and visualization, students will learn how to use AI technologies to optimize their business. This program also includes live instructor lessons, so it's very hands-on. The program will cover Python, Jupyter Notebooks, and Google Colab. All of our instructors are leading experts with backgrounds in both data science and in business. This means that they have the academic and the real-world expertise to help students succeed. The program is perfect for business professionals who work with any type of data and who wish to stay competitive by using the power of machine learning and data science. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to highlight our free career placement support module. This free module is available to our students to help them transition seamlessly to a new job. This module helps students with networking, identifying career opportunities, resume building, and interviewing skills. Now, I'd like to introduce an instructor at IGS, Timothy Hodges. Timothy is a former career diplomat and current professor of practice in global governance at McGill University's Institute for the Study of International Development. He is currently teaching Module 4, working in a multilateral environment, in our Foreign Service and International Development Specialist program. Welcome, Timothy.
Thank you very much, Po. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for joining us today. I thought I would say a little bit more about myself, just so you have a better sense of my background and the depth of my experience, which is really largely reflected in the other instructors, as emphasized by Jen and again by Po. The instructors for Foreign Service module, I think indeed all of the programs actually have really very impressive backgrounds. I am a former career diplomat, but I remain very active, not just through my work at McGill, but with the UN, the United Nations itself in Nairobi, and with the German Development Agency in Berlin, and with a number of Asian organizations. Still remain very involved in things diplomatic. My particular experience, even though I have some experience on the bilateral side, my first posting was in South America, for example. Much of my career at Global Affairs Canada was in multilateral affairs, and so that's one reason why I will be focusing. My module will be focused on multilateral affairs, and it's very much a hands-on how-to module about how to launch a career. Either launch a career in multilateral affairs, which I'll say a little bit more about it, because there's much more than one career in multilateral affairs and in diplomacy itself. But also what I will offer will have it be of interest, I think, to people who are either midstream in their careers or maybe midstream in a different career and are interested in launching one in the area of diplomacy, and in particular multilateral affairs. In the field of multilateral affairs, of course, there are many international organizations. Everyone thinks, of course, of the United Nations system, which is comprised of many sub-organizations and treaties. It's a very large networked organization with a myriad range of potential jobs and professions within that system. And that's the sort of typical I would say typical example of multilateral affairs. You think of the United Nations, but in fact, increasingly, it is the case that multilateral affairs encompasses not just the UN, but the stakeholders such as industry, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, regional bodies. Plus, there's a good number of other organizations that are international, but they're actually not multilateral, such as, for example, the G7, the G20, in the Canadian case, for example, there's the Arctic Council, there's any number of regional bodies as well. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of institutions, a lot of organizations, so there's a lot of opportunity. So my module will talk about just how that multilateral system works and how it doesn't work. So I take a real critical look at it in order to lead to a focus on what it means to have a career in multilateral affairs and what those opportunities might be, and also what those costs might be. It's a very challenging area. Much of it is in negotiation. Much of it is moving around the world to various UN capitals, for example, but not just those, such as Geneva and New York. But it's also it's quite a stressful and a very busy life as well, and that of course has a lot of appeal to many people. But the reality is it can be tough, particularly after a couple of decades of working in the area. And the hands-on part, ultimately, this is really about a reality check about what you might be getting into. And if you're still interested in getting into it, then I am actually going to offer you not just some advice based on my experience and current situations in Canada, but also in other countries, because we're talking multilateral affairs. So we're talking some 200 countries. And much of what I have to offer is relevant to not just Canadians or permanent residents of Canada, but virtually of any nationality. A lot of what's necessary is generic. For example, language skills, writing skills, English language in particular, of course, is the lingua franca. It's the international language at the moment, at least. So you'll be looking for that. Specializations such as, for example, international law, treaty law experience, that's also appealing. But it could be other things such as engineering, medicine. So there's any number of skills that you can bring to the table in order to launch a career or improve that career in multilateral affairs. But the final segment of the module, 2 segments, will actually focus on how to do it. How do you actually enter that odd universe we call multilateral affairs? So there are some tricks to the trade, of course, but there's also some processes that are quite elaborate and require quite a bit of hands-on learning in order to actually meet the requirements and actually get a job. And that includes some instruction on how to use the United Nations Careers Platform, which is the entryway into the United Nations system, whether it's a career as a programmer or as an officer or as a manager. So again, it's very hands-on, it's very real. And I think for those who either want a career or want to improve their career, I think this is very much a module for you. Perhaps I might say just a few more words about not just the specific model, but a career in diplomacy, just in general. And I think these are really quite important points and not obvious to people already in that career, but also people who are interested in that career. And the fact of the matter is, there's more than one way to launch a career. There's more than one career in diplomacy, but there's also more than one way to get into diplomacy. Typically you would think that you have to write an examination to enter the Foreign Service, whether it's in Canada, Brazil, or the European Union. And that is in fact, in part the case. But I think increasingly it's not just that avenue which will get you in. Now we have other entry points, and including actually foreign ministries, for example, looking for experienced adults to enter the Foreign Service. So that suggests that you actually will have an advantage if in fact you have experience, whether it's in government or outside government, in industry or even university. If you have experience in international affairs, in development, for example, that will give you a leg up, that will give you an advantage. So time spent not immediately going into a career in diplomacy is not time misspent if in fact in the end you actually want to get into diplomacy. In fact, so that's actually not an atypical, that's no more of the typical way to get into the Foreign Service. So experience, and of course building skills, and that experience may be again, in a stakeholder organization such as industry, in an NGO in particular, because there are many, many international NGOs. And that is actually works to your advantage ultimately if you, in fact, want to enter the Foreign Service. So again, I can, in fact, provide you with advice as well on how to do those sorts of things. So those are the, as Poe mentioned, those are the, or excuse me, Jen, those are the sort of more unconventional means to launch your career in the Foreign Service. So perhaps we'll leave it there for now, and I gather that we're going to take some questions and provide some further clarity, and I'm happy to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Now, before we jump into the Q&A section, I'd like to take a quick moment to remind you that the tuition of $533 Canadian per module is for a very limited time. We have extended this current tuition rate by 1 week, but we do anticipate a 10% tuition increase for applicants joining after April 11th. So we do strongly encourage you to apply before then. We have monthly start dates, and the next start date is scheduled for May 2nd. Okay, so now to conclude our info session, we would like to hear from you. If you have any questions regarding our programs, please feel free to ask right now by typing in the chat. Jen and I can help address any general questions. And of course, our instructor, Timothy Hodges, is also here to help answer questions specifically on the Foreign Service and International Development Specialist program. Okay, so it looks like we have one question right here. Can we work for Multilateral Affairs and run a for-profit immigration firm? Can we be refused a position due to conflict of interest? I think that's a question that you may wish to pose to the regulator for immigration consultants, which is the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. They do have regulations on what consultants can and cannot do, so that's perhaps a question for them. Are there any other further questions? We do have a question here about the CBSA program. So maybe Jen can help address this. Is the CBSA program only available online? And how much time do I have to spend on it each week? Jen, do you want to perhaps chime in and perhaps explain a bit more about the requirements for the CBSA program and how it works?
Sure. So just so you know that the CBSS program is 29 weeks long. So we do suggest you to spend at least 10 to 20 hours per week into your studies, because you do have certain deadlines to meet. So you got to spend sometimes like every day, every other day, or within a week to complete those works. So just so you know for that. And then to apply for the CBSS program, there's no specific requirements. So if you are comfortable studying in English, then you're good to go to apply. And then I just want to emphasize on our application process. So you can go to our website, globalspecialist.org, and then to complete the application form. And once we receive the application form, we will get back to you within 48 hours.
Thank you, Jen. And of course, all our programs have a similar format and are flexible enough for people who are working full-time. So we have a question here from Jessica, who's raised their hand. If you wish, you can either unmute your mic or you can type your question in the chat.
Hi. Hi, so I have a question. Is there any volunteer opportunities to gain experience in the IGS and the Foreign Service? See, I have a little bit of a dilemma where I'm not supposed to be working and I'm on disability, but this is like one of my primary interests, and I want to focus on developing economies in different parts of the world, and maybe finding the right balance between leaders and and everyday, civil citizens. And I just wanted to know, is there a way possibly to think to go about it yet? Like, do you think it'd be possible at all?
If you're referring to volunteering at IGS or at a organization, IGS does not have any volunteers at this time. But if you're referring to what kind of possibilities you could do after taking our program, maybe that's something Timothy could help explore a little bit, like perhaps some career opportunities that may not necessarily be working. Timothy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks, Poet. Thanks, Jessica. I think that's a good question. And actually, my answer is yes, I do really strongly believe, and I could think of a couple of people I've helped in the past, that let's call it the volunteer route is actually a really good way to go, because if in the end, and a career in diplomacy, for example, doesn't necessarily have to be 20 years long. It could be an experience you join an organization such as the UN for a time-bound period. They have a project in a particular place and they're looking for individuals with particular experience or skills. They will advertise those positions, and it's more likely increasingly that they will be fixed terms and for a specific job. And so someone who has the appropriate experience in the region, for example, that's
Uh-huh.
a big plus. Yeah.
Cool.
Volunteering is a great way, one, to get experience, and two, to show how motivated you are to those who ultimately might be making a decision about an actual, a paid job at some point. So that makes you very appealing, I think, to prospective employers down the road, or organizations who may want your skills, but either you can't be paid because of a certain condition or they don't have the resources to do that. That does not discount the power and the appeal of a volunteer. I should also mention that the United Nations itself actually has a program called UN Volunteers.
That's
I
cool.
urge you to have a look, just Google it, have a look on their site, and you can actually become, if you want to, you can proceed. It's pretty straightforward. And you fill in some blanks about your experience, what you're interested in, and you become part of a roster of people from around the world that they may wish to draw on your experience or your skills. So that's a really good route where there's no risk. You're not being paid. But you will be recognized and you will be contributing if you're used. And it doesn't take that much time to actually get registered. So I would encourage you. I mean, that's a good place to start. Finally, last point.
Okay.
There are internships, and there are including unpaid internships, often offered by government agencies, both in Canada and abroad. And in the case of Global Affairs Canada, for example, at some of the larger posts, some of the larger embassies or missions around the world, there are actually internships, and some of them are paid, but some of them are unpaid. So that wouldn't prejudice your situation as you describe it. So I think there's quite a few avenues in terms of volunteers, and I think that's actually can be an advantage for an individual.
All right. Sounds great. That's what I was hoping, because I really, really want to see some cool stuff happen.
Great.
Well, thank you for your question, Jessica. I hope that helped answer it. And again, our program does prepare people for different types of opportunities, which may not necessarily be a working opportunity. So if you're interested in, for example, volunteering or internships, our program.
What happened? Uh-oh. Let's try again.
The programs have presentations that are available online that students can access at any point. There are some live instructor lessons in the AI program, but the remaining programs have presentations that students can access whenever they want. Are there any other further questions? It looks like there's a question here about the Foreign Service program. I live outside of Canada. Can I take the Foreign Service program? So yes, all of our programs are available for anyone around the world. There are opportunities in diplomacy for those outside of Canada who may not be Canadian citizens or permanent residents. So for example, you could work as locally engaged staff at an embassy. And of course, there are career opportunities outside that traditional diplomacy framework, as Timothy had mentioned, such as working on the ground at an NGO or at a foreign ministry. I know, Timothy, you did cover that quite extensively in your presentation. Do you want to maybe go over some other opportunities that someone who may not be living in Canada or may not be a citizen or PR could do?
Well, sure. I mean, I guess it starts at it starts with what your interests are, what you think you're interested in doing, and and then it's partly it's well, it's sort of twofold, two aspects to it. One is to figure out what organizations might actually be potentially useful for you, and actually apply through those means and try to make some connections with them. I mean, and our instructors, I mean, we're not paid to simply provide you with contact names, but we're well networked, and we can, if we can't give you a name, we can certainly help you find your way into an organization that we're familiar with. And so it doesn't, in many ways, especially on the multilateral side, it doesn't really matter where you are, at least in theory. Most of the jobs in multilateral affairs, so let's say international affairs, are actually not working for a national government, but rather for the international organization itself. And all of those jobs, as long as your nationality is a recognized country under the UN, which it will be inevitably, then you have equal employment opportunity. In many ways, some of the less pressure and some of the larger number of opportunities, because there's a sort of a ratio system in most international organizations. In terms of memberships, there's pressure to actually hire from smaller countries or a lesser number, smaller populations. So there's good opportunities there. So I guess the answer is it's who you know, it's what you know, and how you know to get into those organizations, just to make a contact. And again, as I suggested earlier, a lot of the work, and again, whether it's paid for or voluntary, a lot of the work is for a fixed term. And because an organization is dealing with a particular crisis or has a particular interest, and it won't last forever. But that's actually terrifically interesting and a great opportunity. It provides greater opportunity for people who are not careerists, who've been sitting in an organization forever. So, you're not blocked from actually entering at any particular age. Age can actually be an advantage in most cases. Some organizations do have rules, but most of them, I mean, they're in terms of age, they're really high thresholds, so no problem there. Or excuse me, low thresholds. So I think there's a good number of ways to get in, and I think there's a great number of possibilities, whether you're Canadian or not. Absolutely.
Thank you, Timothy. And I think that also covers another question that we saw here, asking about their age and whether or not their status as a PR could be an impediment to working for Canadian Foreign Service. Are there any other further questions regarding our program? Okay, it doesn't seem like we have any further questions at this point. So before we wrap up today, we do encourage you to check out our website and read about our instructors. Of course, we're very proud of our instructors, and they've been carefully chosen for their expertise and their real-world experience. In addition, we do offer free demo modules for each of our programs. So if you are interested in a specific program, you can explore the free demo module to see how it works. To request access to a free demo module, just submit a request on our website or email us directly. Our website is globalspecialist.org, and you can apply online for the May 2nd start date. You can also email us at info@globalspecialist.org, or call us at 1-888-228-4598. So we'd like to thank you all for attending, and we do hope to hear from you soon.